Morning. Oh, I just got turned on. There you go. This is the Red Deer Center for Spiritual Living. It is August the 21st. Obviously, it's Sunday, and it's wonderful that you have all joined us here for our celebration service. And it sounds like I'm a bit loud. And you know what? I think I need one of these at home. That way, the other person that lives there might say, "Oh, no, I didn't hear." I can say, anyway, I am Reverend Tress, and today it is, I hope you enjoyed our meditation first thing, if you were able to attend. And today it is a wonderful, wonderful day. Now, we do have our Growing Spirit Circle, but before that, I am going to open with the opening affirmation, and it's on your green sheets. Today is rich in promise, the promise of Spirit pouring itself into my life as the one life that is all. I am within it and it is within me, ready to respond to my thoughts. As I choose thoughts of health, joy, and prosperity, they become my reality, and so it is. And now we will have congregational singing.
For our first world, and I'm sorry, I didn't write down what page number, so I'll give you an extra minute to find it in your book. Good Morning World. 23. 23. Okay, we're going to write it down right now. Okay, there we go. So you can stand up to sing, and you'll be sitting for a little while after this, so.
Good morning, world. Good morning, universe. I'm on my way to a wondrous day. I'm ready now for great and glorious things. As I'm excited, great things are coming my way. Here comes the sun up in the sky. Here comes the bluebird passing by, and all the world awaits to say, may joy be yours today. Good morning, world. Good morning, universe. I'm on my way to a wondrous day. I'm ready now for great and glorious things, and I'm excited. Great things are coming my way. Here comes the sun up in the sky. Here comes the bluebird passing by, and all the world awaits to say, may joy be yours today.
All right, our next song is Love is My Decision, and it's on page 129. I broke a string this morning, so I had to restring quickly. Whoops. Sorry.
And she did done good.
No, Love is My Decision, 129.
Maybe it's not 129.
It's the last, near the very, very end.
It's near the very, very end.
Oh, so some books
Do you know what?
missing.
It could be that some of the books weren't updated at that time, right? Sorry.
Pull one from underneath the seat.
Some of you have it?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Here we go.
decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now.
Thank you. See, he tried to turn me off so he wouldn't have to listen to me. But thank you. And now it's our Growing Spirit Circle, and we do have a word. I don't know if any children want to come up, but we have big children too. So our word for today is tact. And we all know that's a very important word. And it is be kind when you tell the truth. Think of others before you act. And the affirmation is, I am always honest, I am always thoughtful. So if you want to repeat with me, I am always honest, I am always thoughtful. And now the announcements. We have Reverend Judy's Summer Mastermind Clinic, and it continues on Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. until the end of August. And you can come and bring a notepad, and it will be very interesting. And also, we do have a pre-authorized giving plan if you wish to be a pre-authorized player and come, and it is ready. We have the forms. And now, I get the pleasure of introducing a very versatile young man, and our theme is nature, right down his alley, and the title said Reverend Doug all over the place, and this is the title they suggested. So Reverend Doug, are you ready to talk about the furry, the fuzzy, the slimy, the scaly, and everyone else?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now,
Turn on. Oh, there I am. Wow, a little loud today. Well, that was an interesting introduction, and that's an interesting title. And when I first read the title, I was talking, yeah, I know a lot of people that fit in each one of those categories. But then I realized it wasn't about people. Did you think it was about people too? It's about everything. So we'll just leave it like that, and then we don't have to get into specifics, because that's all inclusive. So what I'd like to do is start out with an opening treatment meditation. So I invite you to just close your eyes if you'd like and go within to the quiet and the silence of your mind. And know that that which is within each and every one of us is that which governs the entire universe and everything. That which is within each and every one of us is the same for every one of us, but it gives us our unique ability to be different and to be unique and special in our own way. That is the one life that I call God's life, and that is my life, your life, right here and right now. And as we join together and go into contemplation and consciousness, let us know that this life energy, this power, this presence is part of everything, everyone, every creature, every inanimate object, anything of life. There's a consciousness and an energy behind it. And that which is behind all of that is available within you and within me to use in our own unique and personal way. And one of the greatest ways to activate this in a positive way and to live it is to be clear each and every day in all of our words, actions, and deeds of what our intention is. Because our intention directs the law, and whatever it is, the law returns to us. So I know for you, as I know for myself, that our intention is clear. So take a few moments of silence to go within and to really get clear on what's your intention for your life in a small, unique way as we move forward. It's not a thing, it's not a specific, but what's your overall intention of what you want to experience in this journey called life? So I know right here and right now, my intention is to allow that inner self of mine to guide me, lead me, and direct me to experience peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. That which is our divine birthright, and the clarity in order to manifest all of that in all areas of our lives is now available as we accept it. And we move forward knowing that God is good, God is great, so are we, and so it is. Well, it was an interesting topic for today. The monthly theme is Living Everyday Wonder in Nature. That's why with the title it was easy, because it's not about specifics, it's about everything. So that was just a way of introducing and captivating your imagination to know that everything is included in this thing we call life. So the first thing is called Be a Friend of Nature. And I like that opening song that the ladies did, Love is My Decision. It's all our individual decision. We can decide to be right about anything that we want to be. And you know, the neat thing about life is it doesn't matter what, you always get to be right. Have you noticed that? Don't matter what it is, you always get to be right. I had people say to me, well, that's not true. I like being wrong. And I say, well, you like being right about being wrong, don't you? Okay? So when you're going through looking at this thing that we call life and the nature of it, always remember that everybody gets to be right about everything that they think. and do. So the question that all you have to do is ask yourself to get clear on what I talked about intention is, what is it that I want to be right about? What is it I want to be right about? And you can be. So, and being a friend of nature is, I always say that all life is sacred and it's a vital part of the planet's living ecosystem. Ernest Holmes, in the Basic Ideas of Science of Mind, said, consciousness sleeps in mineral life, dream in plant life, awakens in animal life, and comes to self-consciousness in man. So it's in everything. And, you know, people think, well, you know, it's just an animal or it's just a plant. Did you know that plants and animals respond to energy? Okay, they've done all kinds of things to prove this. And it all depends on the attitude of the person that they're around, because that permeates into everything. And it could be life-giving, or it could take away life and constrict, especially if someone's negative and depressed. A guy by the name of Anthony Douglas Williams said, one day we will know that all animals have a soul, and hopefully this knowledge does not come to us when it's too late. And in the Old Testament, in the book of Job, it says, but ask the animals and they will teach you, the birds of the air and they will tell you, ask the plants of the earth and they will teach you, and the fish of the sea will declare to you. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is life of everything living and the breath of every human being. So it's all encompassing, and you know, we can learn a lot from animals. They're one of the greatest teachers. When I was up here full time many years ago, one of my most favorite talks I did, and you take this and think about it, it was, Lord, help me be the person my dog thinks I am. Because doesn't your dog, anybody got a dog? Don't you think dogs think, like my dog thinks I'm the greatest person there ever is, except he likes to bite me. He feels comfortable with biting me more than anybody else. But you know, that's just the nature of him. That's the way he is. And then he comes and he gives me loving and everything. Then he bites me if I'm near Anna. He doesn't like that. I spent a lot of time in nature, in the wilderness. I was born in Canmore, grew up in Exshaw, went to high school in Banff. So I'm a Rocky Mountain man, and I live in Calgary now. And you can take the man out of the mountain, but you can't take the mountain out of the man. And in the last 27 years, I've been keeping a logbook, and I've hiked around 8,500 kilometers in the national parks and the provincial parks and the mountains. And so, and growing up there and spend a lot of time there all my life, I've had a lot of encounters with animals. And all of them, everything you can name of except for Sasquatch. Haven't met him face to face, but all the rest I have. And there's a lot of harrowing experiences that you can come across when, you know, you got your head that far from a bear's face and stuff like that. Gives you kind of a different perspective. But over the years, I didn't know I developed a way of dealing with things, but I didn't really come to understand it and to develop it more than I did when I come into this teaching. And one of my ideas is I believe that all animals have an agenda for where they're going and what they're doing. And so what I do two things. The first thing I do before I go into the woods at all is I center my consciousness in the right place of respect. I do this. I don't really care what anybody thinks because it works. I dwell in the bright Christ light. Only goodness is attracted to me. Thank you, Brother Bear, Brother Wolf, and Brother Eagle, for sharing your home with me today. And so I walk in with total respect, like I'm going into somebody else's home, and I treat it accordingly, and the animals respond. I've met bear on the trail. I'm not talking driving by and seeing them or parking. I'm talking on the trail. I'm talking, face to face or close proximity. Over 60-time bear, elk, moose, mountain lions, wolf, coyotes, everything. But I got to tell you, one time I was really scared at first because I come across something that set me back in my heels. And it wasn't any of those. It was a little critter about that long and stood about this high, about that wide. It was called a wolverine, and a mountain wolverine. And I got to tell you, that gave me a rush and a half, because when I looked into that little guy's eyes, I caught him, surprised him, he surprised me. He was looking at me and his teeth were bare, and I was close enough to see the beveled teeth that he had, that's beveled back with razor sharp blades on it. And of course, they're the badger family. Anybody ever experienced a badger, seen a badger? They kind of, they hiss at you a bit, And he's looking at me doing that way, and I go, whoa, it just caught me by surprise, like I think I caught him. And it scared me just like that, and I had to bring back the fear and just say, okay, I'm moving on, I'm okay here, and just move away and leave him. In case you don't know about the wolverine is tiny, but in North America, the only thing that a grizzly bear is afraid of is a wolverine. That little guy like that. You wonder why, huh? Truth is, they move like grease lightning, and they're very fast, and they got those sharp beveled teeth. And so what do they go after if they take on a bear? They go after the jugular. And they finish him up real quick. Grizz won't mess with a wolverine. Typically, that's what I've been told. And so, every animal has its own unique characteristic. For example, mountain lions. Now, they're a critter there. I tune myself in when I go out there into nature, and I can sense them and I can feel them. I might not see them, but I know they're there. And you'll always get the sensation, usually up high behind you. Okay? Because that's what they like to do. They're cats. Anybody ever watch a cat, how they like to play with their prey? Or they like to just stalk things and just walk away because they're just practicing? Anybody ever watch cats do that? Well, big cats do the same. Okay? If you really see a big cat out there, it's generally by accident. I've had a few experiences with them in my day. Very interesting. But there are a lot of things that nature has to offer. For example, one of my favorite places is what we call Hay Meadow, and it's in K Country. And this place is just packed in the fall and packed in the spring. And you go down there and they got these telescopes lined up, and the guys are standing behind them, or ladies with their binoculars looking, and then they get in behind the telescope. Because that place along the Kananaskis River called Hay Meadow, that area is a major migratory route of birds of prey. About 12 different kinds of birds of prey that fly there every spring and every fall as they're migrating. Anybody ever know that? There's a lot of beautiful things like that that are out there that we don't know. And all these animals all have something that they can teach us about the nature of ourselves. The wolf pack, for example. A lot of people are afraid of wolves. You're safer with a wolf pack probably than anything else in the bush. Banff National Park, there's never been an attack by wolf on anybody. And there's only been about 3 or 4 recorded in North American history. Okay? So we have a lot of all false ideas, but it's all nature. But it's really hard to embrace those mosquitoes. Or my nemesis of all of them I don't like is the horsefly. Because they don't bite, they don't sting, they eat. And guess who's the meal? But that's one of the most important things, is just to really embrace all of that and learn the nature of the animal. I had a disability, so as to speak, in my growing up, because when we used to go out, you see animal, everybody runs. You ever heard about that? And all you got to do is, you ever heard that one? You got to be faster than the slowest runner and you're safe. Anybody ever heard that? Yeah, I heard it all the time. Guess what? I was the slowest runner. So when you're the slowest runner, that was what forced me into looking at things differently than everybody else. Because it didn't matter what they were running from, I was always the slowest runner, so I'm going to get caught. So one learns to deal with stuff differently when you're like that. So how do I deal when I meet, well, one of my favorite stories is meeting this bighorn sheep ram with a full rack, and we're walking on this little path, and right off this side is the about a couple of meters into the water, and right here is solid rock. I'm in lead. I walk around there, and there he is standing right there. I'm same as Don, about that far away. So what do? Everybody else stops. What do we do? I said, shh. So I looked into his eyes, and I got connected with him, and what's your agenda? And all he wanted to do was pass, so I told the people, I said, just back up a bit, we'll slowly, just so we could step off the path. There was a place to step off, and when we did that, that bighorn sheep just walked right by me. I could have touched him. He was that close like this. Not a problem, just walked right by. Another time we're walking down to the car, got my grandson and a few other people, and there's the car, 75 meters, and there's the Grizz, 8 meters. But you see, it was in the fall, and checked out his agenda, and he knew we were there. We just left him alone. He was working the berries, because it was the fall. It was September. And that was his agenda, and we just didn't mess with him. No problem. Okay? But when you start doing silly things like getting afraid, shrieking, or running, the animals sense that. Okay? You know, horse, any domestic animals, they sense fear. And it bothers them. So always remember that you're always projecting energy. And you might say, well, it's easy for you to say. Yes, it is. It's easy for anybody. However, with years of practice, I've learned how to park my fear, be in the present, and then I can pick it up and be afraid later and deal with it. But we have to learn how to do that in certain situations so we don't make any bad judgments or bad decisions. Which takes me to the next point. Our worst enemy. Our worst enemy in life is judgment. Okay? We could be real spiritual and say everybody's got this life presence within them, and we just come to understand we don't have to like everybody. We have to understand that that presence is in them. And we're going, I feel good about things. You get in the car, you go down there, somebody cuts you off. And where are you? Well, you're not looking at that person with loving eyes. You're looking at them with different eyes, and you got all this dialogue running through your head. So I call it, it's easy to get stupid fast. It don't take long to get stupid, okay? And I have it happen all the time during the day. I get stupid real quick, and then the trick is to catch yourself and bring yourself back. Jesus said in Matthew, judge not that ye not be judged, for whatever you judge, you will be judged, okay? So whatever you're judging other people, you're putting it out, you're planting seeds, you're sowing it, it's going to come back one way or another to you. And with whatever measure you meet, it shall be measured again to you. So however much you give, you're going to get back. Always remember that. That's important. And thou beholdest the mote in thy brother's eye, but not considered the beam in thy own. So what's that mean? Well, that means we're picky, and a mote is a little piece of dry dust. So we're looking at that piece of dry dust in that person's life and making a big judgment on it. And Jesus says, yeah, well, that's because you got a beam in your own eye. You got a big block there, and you can't see clearly. But consider not the beam in your own eye. How can you say, let me pull that mote or that little piece out of your eye while I got this in my own? Okay? Make a judgment. And so he says, thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam of your own eye, and then you shall see clearly how to cast the mote out of your brother's. So that means be real clear on where you're coming from and what your intention is. Okay? If you're coming from, oh, that's a terrible person. Ever look at anybody and say, oh, look at that, they're a terrible person. Or has anybody been a terrible person and have people look at you like that? I know nobody here has but me. I know that. Okay? And it has happened all the time. When I was back in my heyday, I'd walk down the street in Stevens Avenue, and it was like I was like a snowplow. There'd be a wave of people just parting like that as I walked down the street. I mean literally avoiding me. Because they were all in judgment. They thought I was going to rip their limbs off or something like that. The interesting part about that is the only ones that didn't behave like that were children. Just like our beautiful young lady right here. Because they don't see people like that. They don't look at people like judgment. They look into the person with curiosity. I remember up at the mall lots of times I'd have kids come up and talk to me and the parents be away and they'd be freaking right out. Because they did look a little scary on occasion. But watch the judgment, huh? That's the thing that will drag us down into the pits. We don't have to like what somebody's doing. We don't have to like somebody, period. But stay away from getting into judgment and getting into knocking them down, because that's just really a reflection that we don't feel good about ourselves. Ooh, that hurts. Ernest Holmes says, how to change your life. We believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in everyone, everything, and that all people or all life is an incarnation of the one Spirit. Come across something that evoked a lot of judgment in people. It was interesting. It was one of those things that come up in Facebook. It says, how did you shoot your first deer? Or, what did you shoot your first deer with? So all these people are listing out the different types of guns and that, eh? And you know what I put in there? Kodak, black and white film, 1956. Because that's what I shot a deer with. I never shot anything in my life. Okay, got it? See the difference? Everybody's thinking guns, and I put that in there, and I know it rattled a few chains. And a lot of people like that, right? But watch how you make judgments on things and how you choose to see them. Jesus said that the light of the body is the eye, and if therefore thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled full of light. So if you're on purpose with the Spirit, that does it. But if your eye is evil, then the whole body shall be filled with darkness. Therefore, the light that is in thee, the darkness, is how great that darkness is. And he goes on to say, no man can serve two masters. You either serve God or mammon, that's the physical. So it's which way are you going to maneuver through life and allow your worth to be exhibited? Is it going to be physically, all the physical stuff? Are you going to come from that only, about getting and having? Or is it going to be the spiritual route? And by the way, doing it the spiritual route will allow one to experience all the physical things in a great and better way. And the last thing here, life is an adventure to be lived, not to be feared. Ernest Holmes in How to Change Your Life says, you live because life lives in you. You move because a universal energy flows through you. You think because an infinite intelligence thinks through you. And you know, you never know when life is going to bring something to you that's an adventure. And it doesn't mean you're comfortable with all adventures. Sometimes they're pretty scary. However, they come along and surprise you. I had one just recently. I hadn't rode a Harley for over 35 years. Used to ride them all the time. And I got some really good friends that still ride, and I always get together with them once a year. Usually just take my truck. But this last year, just recently, one of my long-term buddies that I've been friends with over 52 years come to me because we had a mutual friend that was very, very close to, and he died last year. And he had this beautiful motorcycle. And my buddy owns Kane's Motorcycles, so he bought it from the estate and he had it. And he couldn't make the trip this year, but he'd asked that in honor of my buddy Krabby, we called him, Kerry, if I would ride it to the trip. Well, that's quite an experience after 35 years to even consider something like that, eh? So I told him, yeah, I would, based on how I felt with it. And, you know, I had to practice driving again. So I drove about 900 kilometers getting ready and everything. And I went on the trip, and I went with one guy I've known 62 years, 5 I've known for 52, and 2 I've known for 47, and 1 for 15. So we've all been good buddies, and they were just ecstatic. And I had the ride of my lifetime, but the only thing I was a little bit afraid of this machine is, gee, there was a lot of juice there. A lot more than what I remembered, eh? So I'm down in the trip area. This is which was really interesting. I was down there, and I'm talking to Rob. He's a master mechanic. He's, oh yeah, Krabby brought that down there, and I juiced it all up for him, special cams, everything, stroked it right out. He says, it's got 101 horsepower. That's quite a bit. But he said, not as much as mine. I got 107. He likes going fast. I don't like going that fast necessarily because I just was going out for a ride. But gee, you know, he said, just be careful when you open it up because it can come up off the ground real easy. So that's why I thought, well, this thing's got a lot of juice. I had a ball. I had a great experience. It brought back so many things about what I enjoyed about being on a motorcycle. And I never could really put it into place because I had just got into this when I stepped out of that. But what the thing that was very important, and this is important for all of us, is be in the present moment, folks. Yesterday's irrelevant except for what you learn from it, what you do. No use rehashing it, reliving. I know some people can give you your, ain't it an awful story, and after they tell it 8 or 10 times, it even gets better. But it's being in the now moment. That's what it got me, and being connected. Because when you're whipping down at 125 on the highway, and that's what you got, you're connected. And if you're not fully present with everything around you, and it could be catastrophic real quick. You cannot afford the luxury of wandering off. And it brought me back to that realization of how important that is for us to stay focused on the destination, even though we don't know where that is, but the journey that we're taking. And not to get distracted by a lot of things that don't matter, like what happened yesterday and what's going to happen tomorrow. Guess what? Everything that's happening to you right now is tomorrow, or it's today, but it was tomorrow yesterday. Okay? And it's not relevant because the new tomorrow is going to be the next day. So what's relevant is today. And you know, a lot of people say, they get into, I'm afraid of failing. Anybody? I don't want to do it and fail. Is anybody in relationships, anything, has anybody failed before? Anybody failed here? Yeah, more than once? Yeah, and we're all surviving, right? So there's no difference between failure and success. Failure is a part of success. You ask anybody that's successful if they got it right on the track and they didn't fail along the way. I don't know anybody that hasn't failed. I remember somebody told me one day, they said, gee, you remind me of a master. Well, that's kind of a nice compliment, but I brought them back and I said, do you know the difference between a master and a beginner? A master's failed more times than a beginner's ever tried. Just remember that. Okay? In fact, I got to tell you, some of the greatest learning experiences and the most valuable have been from some of the biggest failures I've ever had that were really catastrophic in my life. Now, would I go and do them again just to learn? Absolutely not. You'd have to be insane to do that stuff again to learn. I like to learn other ways, and I'm doing that, but there are those ones that you get what you get, and you got to learn from it. I mean, when I went through the burnout and all that, people say, oh, look what you learned. It was great. And would you do it again? No. Even if you knew what you were going to learn? No, I wouldn't do it. Okay? So always remember that it doesn't matter what life serves up to you. It really matters how you deal with it. That's what it makes all the difference, and what your intention is when you're dealing with it. So, when you're talking about pain and suffering, I'm going to close with this idea. Pain is a natural experience on our journey. We've all had pain physically, mentally, emotionally. However, suffering is not God ordained. Suffering is a choice. Pain isn't. It's there. But how we deal with it is a choice. And suffering is purely a choice. We could suffer with it, or we could work at doing what we knew to do our grieving and accept it and move forward. So I know for you, as I know for myself, that everything in this world that is furry, fuzzy, slimy, scaly, and everyone and everything else is all part of the same power and the same presence. It's there. It'll respond to us in direct proportion to how we direct our energy through our intention. So I know for you, as I know for myself, that the Spirit within me guides me, leads me, and directs me to peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. I give thanks for it. I step into it. And I know it's so, and so it is. And thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Doug. Another powerful message. And now we come into the prosperity portion of our program. A part of the purpose of this is to truly know that prosperity is available to us, not only in our pocketbooks, but in our minds, in our relationships, in all that we do. So let's read our prosperity affirmation together. Spirit is constantly giving itself away and is never diminished. Likewise, I give freely of my time and my talent and my treasure. In doing so, I am constantly renewed. My cup of life is always full, and my giving only increases the supply. Life is good, and so am I, and so it is. And I would invite you, if you have an envelope with a donation, after we're finished, just bring it and drop it in the basket up here. Thank you for that. And now we're going to hear from our choir. Edith will tell us what they're going to sing for us. Thank you.
Today we're going to do the Garden Song. This was written by David Mallet and performed by John Denver.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was lovely. Let's read our closing affirmation together now. The song of life sings itself through me. The dance of life dances through me. I am filled with vitality and joy, health, wealth, and wisdom. My song is a song of gratitude, and the blessings keep flowing, and so it is.
Okay, we'll do our closing song, I Love Myself, on page 33 in your books.
I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel the love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your tears, your raging tears, I see your shining star. And I love you just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, I'll help it grow, loving every day. I love myself the way I am, still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am.
So I would like to do a closing treatment for everybody, if that's all right. And as I know, there is one mind, one creator. If you would like, make these words your own. As I know, God and good are synonymous. I choose today, whether they be furry, fuzzy, or scaly. I don't care. I see the good in all. Thank God for the good that comes into my day. And so it is.
And so it is.
And that also slimy.
Was that slimy?
Yeah, we have to put slimy in there.
Okay, absolutely, because we gotta love them.